Greetings, ladies and gentlefish, and welcome to this review of the SP1C. This is the new, as of patch 9.9, Tier 7 German light tank that replaces the Aufklärungspanzer, also known as the AFK Panther, the Awful Panther, and the Fail Panther. This is not the video I was originally going to bring you. I mean, this is stuff from patch 9.9, and I'm still working through material from patch 9.6. I'm working a little bit behind, but I wanted to show you this because this tank might get changed soon, even though it's only just come out. I hope this tank gets changed soon, even though it's just come out, for reasons that shall hopefully become apparent. So, historically, I don't really know much about this machine, to be honest. I've had a quick rummage around, and as far as I can work out, the project, this is a post-World War II project, by the way. The idea behind this thing was to take the smallest, lightest chassis they could and mount the largest, most powerful gun on it they could. So this is a light tank, or in some classifications seems to be called a tank destroyer or whatever. So that seems to be the general idea. What do we actually get in game here at Tier 7, and how does this differ from its predecessor, the Aufklärungspanzer, that I'm just going to call a variety of insulting names to it. So, what you get is 880 hit points, which for a Tier 7 light tank is about par for the course. I mean, if you look at the Americans, for example, the T-71 gets 840, and if you look at the French, the AMX 1375 gets 900. So 880, it's par for the course, fine. It's a very light machine, it's under 10 tons. The weight limit is 10.9 tons, but as it comes, it's 9.4 with a 195 horsepower engine, giving it a power to weight ratio of 20.74, which is good, but not spectacular for a light tank at Tier 7. Traverse speed of 44, turret traverse of 44 are alright, although I must confess they feel a little sluggish. The armour, there is no armour. I'm not going to show you Tank Inspector, partly because Tank Inspector hasn't updated to have this tank in it yet, but also because it seems a bit pointless. This is an auto penetration for a Tier 1 gun. A 37mm cannon at Tier 1 will overmatch this armour and penetrate it. This thing has no armour, literally no armour. I'm going to talk about the gun in a little while, because that is kind of interesting. 400 meter view range is very nice, and 750 meter signal range is also very nice, but it's nothing to get too excited about. It's pretty much par for the course for Tier 7 light tanks. So, let's talk about the gun. Oh dear. So, this thing gets a choice of 3 guns. Let's just go through them. This is the stock gun. This is the middle gun. And this is the fully upgraded gun, except I can't see it because it's behind the debris. And this is the fully upgraded gun. So, there are several things that will become apparent. Firstly, they are all 90mm guns. Okay, fine. Secondly, they are all unique to this tank, so despite the fact that the RU-251 Spy Panzer at Tier 8 also uses 90mm guns, they are not the same 90mm guns, despite the fact that they have the same alpha damage, the same penetration. No, they are not the same. So you will go through all the effort to unlock these guns on this tank, and it will never be useful again. Rant number 1. Alright, so the stock gun, 90mm gun, 7.69 rate of fire, which is okay. I'm actually going to compare this to, for example, a medium tank, because the Tier 8 medium tanks often have guns of around about this caliber. This is the top gun on the STA-1. It's a 90mm gun, rate of fire 8 rounds a minute, and the Tier 8 medium tanks are not renowned for having high DPM. Let's look at the worst, or the lowest DPM gun to be found on a Tier 8 medium tank. This is the 20-pounder A barrel from the Centurion Mark 1. It has a 7.5 rate of fire, rounds per minute rate of fire, and slightly lower 230 alpha. So, what you get with this stock gun is approximately Tier 8 medium tank levels of DPM. Oh my word. That's not particularly impressive. 170 penetration is none too shabby for a Tier 7 light tank. That goes up to 250 if you're willing to fire heat because it's one of those guns. This is another problem I have with the 90mm guns. Most 90mm guns in this game get alright penetration, and if you are willing to load their premium round, they get tier 10 penetration. It's silly. 45 penetration if you want to fire HE, 240 with both of the AP and heat rounds, alpha damage this is, and 320 for the HE round. 0.38 dispersion at 100 meters, which is not very good, and a 2.5 second aim time, which is, on a light tank, bloody awful. So that's the stock gun. You do not want to be using this gun if you can possibly avoid it, but you're probably going to have to for a while, for reasons that will become apparent in a bit, and it's not... when you upgrade, it doesn't get better all round. So, middle gun, 90mm gun, 2.2 second aim time now we're talking, 0.36 dispersion at 100 meters, yeah okay fine, whatever. It's an improvement, it's not a sniper rifle, but it's an improvement, and it's alright. Same alpha damage, very similar penetrations, the only difference is you get an extra 10 mil of penetration on your AP rounds, which is nothing too spectacular, but, you know, we're not going to kick a gift horse in the mouth. And 7.59 rate of fire. Chip, that's lower than the stock gun. Yes, it is. So you get lower DPM on the upgrade. Yes, you do. For better accuracy, slightly better penetration, and a better aim time. Now, I do think this gun is an upgrade over the stock gun, mainly because of that aim time. But you look at it and you think, wow, they were being stingy. This rate of fire is almost as bad as the Centurion, for goodness sake. And that's not where things end, but we're going to come on to that a little bit later. And then you get to the top gun, quote unquote. 90mm gun. This gets an autoloader. Right, this could be interesting, because 90mm gun, that is one of the largest guns you find on a tier 7 light tank. The only tier 7 light tank, ignoring howitzers for now, the only tier 7 light tank to get a larger caliber weapon than this is the WZ-131 that has the option of mounting a 100mm gun. Anyway, 3-round autoloader, 3 seconds between shells. So you fire one shell, 3 seconds later the second, 3 seconds later the third. 20 seconds to reload your magazine. It's the same penetration, damage, all that jazz as the previous single shotgun. It's the auto-loading version of the same gun, but because screw you, you get 0.38 dispersion and a 2.4 second aim time. Not quite as bad as the stock gun, but still pretty poor for a light tank. And here's the thing. Well, so firstly, what's special about this auto-loading gun? Well, it's your exposure time. If you look at most auto-loading guns at this tier, you find that there are 5 or 6 round autoloader with 2 second spacing between shots. So if you want to unload your entire magazine, you have to expose yourself for 10 seconds-ish. With this, you only have to expose yourself for 6 to unload the whole magazine, and you get 240 alpha damage per shot. The trade-off is the lower magazine potential. I mean, most of, for example, the T71 has an average clip potential of 900. This tank gets an average clip potential of 720 with those 390mm rounds. So you trade off some clip potential for a shorter exposure time. I really, really want to recommend this auto-loading gun, but I just can't. And why can't I? Because the accuracy sucks, the aim time sucks, the soft stats suck, and that means in practice you end up, in my experience, donking, missing, bouncing at least one shot from your magazine. And if you miss one shot from your magazine, that's a third of your magazine you just flubbed. And so your damage output actually goes down compared to the single shotgun. And in my opinion, it's just not worth it. So for my money, the best gun to use on this tank is this middle gun, the 90mm Mecha. Not that it's a particularly good gun. The soft stats are not great, and other things that we're going to come on to in a minute. But this is, for my money, actually the best gun to use on this tank. Now, I'm going to show you one replay later on, and I'm only going to show you one because I didn't want to play this tank anymore. And it's going to be using the single shotgun. I'm going to put a link in the video description to a video that uses... It's from Cobra. It's another YouTuber. Video that uses the auto-loading gun, so you can go and take a look at that video if you're interested in the auto-loading weapon. Anyway, they're the guns. Let's talk about the grind. So, we're here on the German light tank line. This is where we're going to start making some comparisons with the AFK Panther. that was this machine's predecessor. So, light line, doobie-doobie-doo, hoobie-doobie-doobie-dim. You start here, lol tractor tier 1, who cares, it's the lol tractor for everything. Panzer 1 at tier 2, it's not a particularly good machine, but it gets limited matchmaking, you don't have to spend very long there, again, who cares. Panzer 1C, a lot of people really like it, I despise it, maybe I'm just weird, a lot of people find it very fun, again, you don't actually have to spend very long there. Panzer 2 Lux at tier 4, a lot of people really like this machine, it looks like a lot of fun, I had fun when I drove it, I really need to rebuy it at some point actually to pick up the Ace Tanker, but it's a good fun little tank. So far, apart from the Panzer 1, these machines have been quite fast, the Lux is fairly agile, you know, good little machines. Leopard, now the Leopard compared to other tier 5 light tanks, it's not the fastest, but fast enough. It gets a good amount of armour, that's sloped armour, and it's relatively heavy, so it becomes a fairly effective ramming machine. And you can have some fun in it. Then you get to the VK2801 at tier 6, and it's a kind of similar story. Now I do have a full tank review of this on my YouTube channel. It's a little old now, but most of the points still stand. They have slightly buffed this tank since I made that review, but the points still stand. Again, it's fairly fast in a straight line, it doesn't turn particularly well, it's got relatively good armour for a tier 6 light tank, it's quite heavy, it's good at ramming things, as long as you're selective with what you ram. You used to then go to the AFK Panther, which for all its faults was fairly heavy, fairly well armoured for a tier 7 light tank, fast enough, and it used to be good at ramming things, which could be a lot of fun, like when you ram an AMX CDC and he's suddenly going, ugh, and you're going, yes, you're a medium tank and I rammed you. You took a shed load of damage, I took very little, haha, in your face. It used to be a lot of fun. And it continued with the personality and with the trend of all the light tanks up until this point. You'd then get a change of pace at the RU-251, but never mind. Now we have the Spy Panzer 1C, which is lightweight, has absolutely no armour, and is not particularly fast. Not that fast, so it's a change of pace. You're going to have to get used to a different playstyle. And then you look at the modules. So, this middle engine, hey look, it's only available on the Spar Panzer 1C. This top engine, hey look, it's only available on the Spar Panzer 1C. The radio, the top radio, oh my god, you can use that on the Leopard prototype. So unlocking this actually proves to be some worth for tanks later on in the line. The turret is of course unique to this tank, they're always unique to their tank. The suspension is of course unique to this tank, they're always unique to this tank. So, the stock Spar Panzer actually looks pretty damn stock, regardless of what other tanks you've played. Which is kind of annoying. And when you upgrade this, one module carries over onto another tank. One. And that's the radio. I mean, who cares? Anyway, I don't really know how painful the grind on this thing is, because I had the AFK Panther fully unlocked. You know, all the modules on it unlocked. So when I got this, I got it fully unlocked. Looking at it, I think you can put up with the stock gun for a while. Concentrate on getting the engines as quickly as you can. I mean, the power to weight ratio with the top engine is acceptable, if not particularly inspiring. With the stock engine, it's going to be a bit of a pain in the bum, and frankly the middle engine is only a marginal upgrade over the stock. So concentrate on these engines as much as you can. How much XP are they going to cost? 10,000 for that one, 500, so you're going to have to spend like 16,000 XP on the engines. The radio is another 9,000 experience, the suspension is another 8,000, these terrible guns are another, too much. The grind, I don't think it's going to be the worst grind you've ever had in this game, but it's certainly not going to be the best. And then eventually, you can spend the 92,700 experience required to unlock the RU-251, and you can also, no wait you can't. Next bit of the rant. Back in the day, the AFK Panther used to lead to the RU-251 and to the Indian Panzer. In fact, if memory serves, the last time they had a top of the tree event on the EU server, for those that don't know, that's where the tier 8 to 10 machines on a particular line, or a lot of the tanks on a particular line leading up to the tier 10, get a discount. So it encourages you to play a particular tank line. When they did it for the Leopard, so Leopard prototype, Indian Panzer, They actually did it, because there were two ways to get to the Leopard. You could go through the medium tanks, the VK3001D, the VK3002D, and then into the Indian Panzer. Or you could go through the light tanks, through the AFK Panther, and then into the Indian Panzer. Now, if I remember, the last time they had the Leopard 1 as top of the tree, they actually chose the light tank line to be discounted. So they encouraged you to play the German light tanks if you wanted to get to the Leopard 1. Then they introduced the SP1C 1C and decided to rework the tech tree. Because screw you. So now its replacement, the SP1C 1C, no longer leads to the Indian Panzer, it only goes to the RU251. So if you've ground your way up the German light line with the intention of then going up to the Leopard prototype, the Leopard and the Indian Panzer, because you couldn't really be bothered to play these medium tanks, and you'd heard the VK3002D was a bit naff, and you know, there'd been a top of the tree special. If you've done this, screw you. You can't anymore. You've wasted your time. And you'll notice I have 63,342 experience sitting on my SP1C 1C. Why is that? Well, when I was playing the AFK Panther, I unlocked the RU251 and then I kept playing the machine because I wanted to ace it and I wanted to get some material for a review that was irrelevant in the end because it was replaced. But, nonetheless, I kept playing it. I racked up another 63,000 experience on it before I aced it. It took a little while. And so I have this experience sitting on the SP1C 1C. And what am I supposed to do with it? I either spend money to convert it to free experience, or it just annoys me and it sits there. I mean, this is experience that could have gone into training my crew, which would have been really nice because I don't have 6th Sense on this crew yet. And another thing, the crew differences. My god, the crew on the AFK Panther, there were like 5 of them or something. The SP1C only has 3. What did they do with the additional 2 crew members? I swear you couldn't make this up if you tried. Look at these crews. I remember these 2 chaps. They used to be in my Aufklärungspanzer. Why are they trained to the Panther 88? I don't own a Panther 88. I have never owned a Panther 88. I'm not sure if I will ever own a Panther 88. But I have crew trained to it. That's because the 2 spare crew members from your AFK Panther were suddenly trained to the Panther 88, which makes no sense. I mean, Jesus Christ. At least train them to a Panther tank. Okay, fine, it was a Panther tank originally. At least train it to a Panther tank that's a regular tank in the game. The Panther 2, both of these would have made sense. But no, they train them to the Panther 88, which is about as useful as a condom in a convent. Sorry, this is turning into quite a ranty video. I do apologise. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, I was whinging about the grind and the tech tree changes. Anyway, moving onward. What crew skills would I recommend on this tank? Well, it has absolutely no armour. You are not fast and mobile enough to be an active scout. You have to play passive scout, so you want 6th Sense, and I would say camo for the other 2 crew skills, personally. Once you've done that, you probably want to concentrate on things that improve your accuracy on the move, accuracy on turret rotation, things like that. What about equipment? Equipment. Are you ready for another rant? Here we go. This tank has 2 very obvious problems. One, it's German at tier 7. Why am I saying that's a particular problem? Well, Tier 7 tanks cannot, as a general rule, mount a vertical stabilizer. The only exceptions to this are the Americans and the British. The Americans get vertical stabilizers from Tier 6, the British from Tier 7, but their Sherman Firefly does get it at Tier 6 because it's a Sherman and it was an American tank, blah 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 blah. Point is, this SP1C does not get a vertical stabilizer, which is really annoying because the guns are really frustrating and not particularly good at hitting what you point it at. Oh, which means I need to actually quickly go back to the gun in just a second, but I will get there. So, no rammer. Sorry, no vertical stabilizer. Point number 2, because this thing has an auto-loading gun as an option, no gun rammer. Which means if you choose the single shotgun, which is in my opinion the better choice, you can't mount a rammer to improve the reload, which is frustrating. Okay, so what equipment can you mount? Vents? Woohoo! Light spore line or waste of time? Camo net, enhanced torsion bars, wet ammo rack. Oh wait, oh no, sorry, okay. I take back part of my rant. You can mount a gun rammer. I do apologise, I had never seen that before. remove the previous bit of rant. I do apologise, you can have a gun rammer. Single shotgun is, in my opinion, then definitely the way to go. Okay. Gun rammer, binos, coated optics, gun laying drive, CO2, toolbox. What is my recommendation? I would probably take a gun rammer, coated optics, and then your choice between vents or an enhanced gun laying drive. You could also opt for a camo net. Up to you. I go with coated optics. I would go with coated optics over binocular telescopes because this thing is so lightly armoured. You don't really want to be sitting still if you can avoid it. If you're going to be sitting skill and passive scouting, you need Sixth Sense, and I think coated optics is probably just overall going to serve you a bit better because the play style of this tends to be a little bit more kind of medium tank-esque than it is light tank-esque, in my experience, if you're using the single shotgun anyway. Now, I just quickly wanted to go back to one thing on the gun that I had forgotten to mention earlier on. The shell travel time. This is, in my opinion, one of the biggest problems with any of the guns on this tank. The shell travel time is measured in months. The amount of lead you have to give targets is phenomenal. I mean, the AMX 1375 gets a slow shell travel speed, but sweet Jesus, this is so much worse. And that just compounds all the other problems. It feels like you're firing a howitzer, except you don't have the derpitude of a howitzer in the sense of damage. I mean, anyway. I'm going to stop whinging about it, I promise. Crew skills, done. Equipment, done. Grind, done. Going to go and show you some gameplay. Alright, here we go. So as I said, I'm using the single shotgun. This is a tier 8 game, and we're here on Hidden Village, which is not my favourite map in the game, but never mind, let's run with it. And with the single shotgun, you get 10 degrees of gun depression with this tank, which is nice. You actually also got 10 degrees of gun depression with the Panzer Panther. But with the massive hull that you were often having to shoot over, you didn't always feel the full benefit of that 10 degrees. But you get 10 degrees with this. And with the single shotgun, the playstyle really dictates that you use that. You have no armor, you cannot expose your tank. It's just a terrible, terrible idea. So, there's myself and this other SP1C. We're going to go over to the central ridgeline here on Hidden Village. And we're going to try and do some spotting, and we're going to try and do some shooting. And there's a T-71, and he's already put a shot into the other SP1C, so we do need to be a little bit careful. We do have people going into the village, so our flank should be covered, which is nice. It can get really awkward when that doesn't happen, which can get really rather annoying, but there we go. And I'm just trying to see if I can spot anything without going into this bush and getting proxy spotted by the T-71, who is over there. He puts a shot into me, I put a shot into him, I hit rather harder. So he comes off the worst after that trade. The reload, it's not showing up in the replay, but the reload is like 7.5 seconds or something. 7.8 or something around there, I think it was. That's without a gun rammer, I should point out. Comet. Other SP1C tracks the guy, so I put a shot into his lower plate. And then T-71 comes around to be a little bit of a pain in the backside and backs off before I can put a shot into him. And then an 88 trundles over the ridge, and I put a shot into his tracks, but I take a shot for my troubles that takes out my commander. But he is now tracked, and so I'm just going to aim for his track again, and we're going to try and keep this guy there. If he has a repair kit, he should probably think about using it, but he hasn't done so far. The 88 has terrible gun elevation, terrible gun depression, terrible gun traverse. And we pick up the kill. And the T-71 dies as well. And I finally realised that my commander has been knocked out, so I put him back in. Now, this Comet is likely going to be proxy spotting me the other side of the ridge, or I have to be aware that he might be. I don't have Sixth Sense on this crew, so I need to be a little bit careful. There's the enemy SP1C. And there we go. A nice hit into him. Thankfully, he was stationary. And there's an AMX-12T. And yes, that shot just... I was aiming for the track there, but this gun is not very accurate. The shot actually hit his angled front plate and bounced. That one, however, shaves off, you know, a good third of his health. E25 trying to get a shot, can't quite do it. Tiger 2, we put one into his side. And this is really the playstyle of this thing if you're using the single shotgun, as far as I can work out. You just take your shot, you peekaboo over. That one missed because reasons. You peekaboo over with use your gun depression over the ridge line, take a shot, pull back. It's the same sort of play style that you get with the sort of medium tanks with good gun depression. In fact, this thing accelerates like a medium tank. It kind of behaves a bit like a bad medium tank. Tiger 2 is now on 31 health, and he gets nailed. Scoreline is 7-5. There's the Spar Panzer from earlier on. He's decided the writing's on the wall. He's going to make a go of this. And I managed to put a shot into him for his troubles. That was a terrible shot. Someone's going to kill this guy, I'm willing to bet, before I can. There we go. Alright, he's dead. The scoreline's 10-5. Let's go hunting. It looks like all the remaining enemy team are up to our left-hand side, up where you generally have that heavy tank brawl. Our other Spar Panzer has lost quite a lot of health. He's asking for help, so I'm going to go and give him a hand. And I believe this guy's using the autoloader, if memory serves. I think I saw him shoot off rounds relatively quickly at one point, or I'm about to see him do so. So I believe he's using the autoloader. So we're going to come up here, going to be a little bit careful. There's a T-34 up there. He's got a 120mm gun. I can take a shot from him if necessary without dying, and put a shot into his rear. T-34 shoots at me, but all he actually does is damage my tracks. I bet he's a bit sore. I'm aiming for his tracks. And back off. I take a big hit there. And aiming for his upper front plate. Can I pen it with 180 pen? Well, that shot doesn't even hit the tank. 180 pen into the upper front plate. Yep. He nails the other Spar Panzer. He's on 114 health. I don't know why I'm taking so long to go up there and take a shot. He's already fired, but apparently I'm a massive wuss. ARL is dead. It's just him and an A44 remaining. For goodness sake, just go and kill the guy. And good night, little tanky. So that's the game. Yeah, the playstyle is very much like a tier 8 medium tank with good gun depression, except you have no armour to back that up. And your rate of fire isn't the best. Sorry about that. Apparently this is the first patch 9.9 replay I've tried to do, and apparently the replays are so amazing that they crash right at the end. This is something I noticed Cobra talking about, and I assumed it was just his replay file was corrupted, but I've had the same problem, so who knows. Anyway, these are the end plates from that match. Ace Tanker. The Ace Tanker seems to be relatively easy to get in this tank at the moment. I assume that's at least partly because there aren't that many people playing it. And it's the, I played this game on the day the patch came out on the EU servers, so sometimes it can take a while for the stats to filter through and whatnot, so you can get relatively easy Ace Tanker games. Sharpshooter, Master Gunner, Duelist, Fire for Effect, and a Confederate. 2,935 damage, 2 kills, 1,167 base experience. You can see the other Spar Panzer on our team got 2,200 damage, 4 kills. He was the second highest experience earner on our team. 19 shots fired, 17 hits, 13 pens. You might look at that and think, okay, that doesn't look too bad, but do bear in mind this was a best matchmaking that you get with this tank, a tier 8 game. We also got 668 assistance damage, which was on a combination of the Tiger 2, I've tracked him at some point, the enemy Spar Panzer 1C, the T-71, and that 88 who we tracked on the ridgeline. Yep, we spotted 3 enemy vehicles, damaged 8, destroyed 2. Without a premium account, that would have been 19,000 credit profit. With, it was 34,000 credits profit. So, not too shabby a game overall. Let's just go back to the garage and finish this off. So, Spar Panzer 1C. Some people will tell you that this tank is okay, a bit anemic, uninspiring, lacking in personality. I will say that this tank is definitely anemic, definitely lacking in personality, but I wouldn't say this tank is okay. I would say this tank is utter trash. Jesus Christ. If you want to use the 90mm auto-loading gun, you are probably far better off using any of the other auto-loading Tier 7 light tanks. Yes, that includes the AMX 1375. If you want to use the single shotgun, do you know what has a very similar playstyle and is better? A Tier 8 medium tank. STA-1, Centurion 1, Pershing, Indian Panzer, whatever, I don't care. They get better guns, they get better hulls, they get better tanks, and they have a similar playstyle if you're using the single shotgun. I didn't mention earlier on, or maybe I did, I can't remember now, I've spent too much time ranting. This thing does get 10 degrees of gun depression, which is quite nice for poking over the ridge lines. Hopefully you saw that in the replay. Very similar to the tier 8 medium tanks that have good gun depression, but my god, it's awful. So yes, am I keeping this? You must be joking. Is this tank completely irredeemable? No, they could do something to make this thing better. I mean, I assume it's so bad because they didn't want to bring out another Walker Bulldog that was just so clearly too good. They didn't want to do that, so they really kind of brought out a very anemic tank. I get that. So what could they do to improve this? Well, let's start off with the mobility. Apparently, I'm just going on what I've heard here, historically the SP1C 1C was lighter than it is in-game and had a more powerful engine. Well, there's a really obvious way to improve its mobility. Keep the top speed of 58 km an hour, fine. It means it's not going to be the fastest tier 7 light tank. That's okay. The gun is, for all its problems, relatively punchy for a tier 7 light tank, but it would at least make it turn better, accelerate better and all that jazz. So there's the first thing they could do with this thing. The second thing that springs to mind is buff the guns. Now, I don't think they need a huge number of buffs, but a few do spring to mind. The shell travel time is too long. It's completely jarring to play and it's garbage. So make the shells travel faster. 2, choose what you want this tank to be. Do you want the top guns on this tank? Do you want to have a choice of guns, or do you want to have an obvious upgrade path? If you want an obvious upgrade path, keep the single shot guns as they are, buff the aim time and the soft stats on the auto-loading gun. And then we can actually have an interesting autoloader that has smaller clip potential but unloads that clip very quickly and gets 240 alpha at tier 7. Then we have an interesting weapon. As it is now, the autoloader just sucks. If you want there to be a genuine choice of guns, then if you just buff the aim time and the soft stats and accuracy and whatnot on each of the guns, do it in whichever way you think is appropriate, and you will eventually get left with a choice of guns, which is fine. I mean, we have a choice of guns at the moment, but both choices suck. And don't distinguish this tank and don't make this tank special. Or don't give you any reason to play it. So there's a couple of suggestions on what could be done to make this thing okay. And I think this could be an alright light tank. I'm slightly... Part of me thinks it was a bit sad they just completely removed the AFK Panther. I didn't really like the tank, but a lot of people did, and I thought it had character. You know, just have 2 tier 7 light tanks, fine. Or the AFK Panther, make it a premium. I don't know, do something with it. You've put the effort in to make the model of the tank, and to give it stats, and to balance it, and to buff it in the past, so why completely remove it from the game? Maybe it will come back later. I would like to see it come back later. Just because otherwise it seems like a massive waste. But anyway, there we go. So, they are my current thoughts on the new tier 7 German light tank, the SP1C 1C. Oh, one other thing, just before I finish. Be very careful what you call this machine. Apparently, I learnt relatively recently, if you call it SPIC, you might run into trouble. SPIC is apparently a derogatory term for someone of Hispanic descent. Yeah. So, yeah, I've got into the habit of using a 1 instead of the Roman numeral I to denote 1C, even though that's completely contrary to what you get in the rest of this game and how tank designations usually work. I've done that specifically so that it doesn't look like SPIC as much as possible. Anyway, sorry. I hope you guys found that look at the SP1C 1C vaguely interesting. I'm sorry for ranting on throughout the entire thing, but this thing really is terrible. I don't know what Wargaming were thinking. I mean, they were thinking they don't want another Walker Bulldog, I get that, but seriously, I mean, anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed it. even though I was ranting. If you did or found it vaguely informative, please feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel, and I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.